everybody. Welcome to the Mike Missanelli Show. A day that should be very active with praise. Listen. I looked at both of those teams last night, right? And I understand how the Eagles struggled in the first half. But I didn't think that the Washington Commanders were ready for prime time. The Eagles are the prime time team. The other team is not. And I thought you saw that clearly last night. When you have a defense that plays the way the Eagles' defense has been playing, and then you have the ability to rebound from kind of a lackluster type of offense to get it going when it's most important, that's a sign of a good team. And last night was a big test for them, and they passed it with flying colors. The Eagles on their way now, and now it's just a matter of can they be good enough to actually win enough games to get a number one seed. Last night, to me, I was looking at it going, okay, I thought the Eagles were going to win that game. I thought that they were better prepared as far as their seniority and their growth of a team more than the Washington Commanders. And that's the way it played out. I mean, you could definitely see that other team's quarterback was a little overmatched, and that team is not ready for prime time. But the Eagles are. And they're rolling right now. And we can pick apart this game. We can pick apart what they didn't do in the first half. But in the second half, they have an MVP candidate who took over the game and a defense that took over the game. And I don't know what more to say other than they're solid, man. That was a solid victory that they had last night. So, Billy Boy, I know yesterday you were arguing the merits of the Eagles being the better team in the NFC, and I assume that after you witnessed last night, you were still on that track.
I'm feeling great today, Mike. Look, it's Thursday night football, and Thursday night games, we know they're going to be sloppy. You got the short week, you don't rest as much, you can't game plan as much, so I didn't expect them to come out firing on all cylinders, and Jalen didn't look great in that first half. The offense looked a little off in that first half. But when you have a defense as good as the Philadelphia Eagles do now, and this is no longer, oh, well, look at who they're playing. This Commanders offense was a very good offense coming in, and this defense shut them down again. You have Quinyon Mitchell. He may be the best rookie I've ever seen in an Eagles uniform. What he is doing to top wide receivers in the NFL is impressive. Jalen Carter, a defensive tackle, played 100% of the defensive snaps last night and looked like he was disrupting almost every single play. Zach Bond, all over the field. Cooper DeJean, another rookie, playing well. Reed Blankenship with an interception. I'm so excited about this defense. Josh Sweat gets a sack. Brandon Graham gets a sack. Even Nolan Smith, who I had written off before the season saying this guy's not passing the eye test for me, he's playing well. This defense, when you can play like they're playing, and then you come back to offense and you have guys like Saquon and Goddard and Devontae and A.J. Brown, and Jalen Hurts even turned it on and did enough with his legs late. This team, they could beat anybody. I mean, this is what we've been saying for a couple of weeks on this show. There is no reason why fans shouldn't look at this Eagles team and say that they are not true contenders. They can beat anyone, and they proved it last night. I'm fired up. I had a hard time sleeping because I was so excited last night.
Well, let's look at this defense, because when we came in, we go, okay, this is a rebuilt defense. There's all these new personnel. And when it started out this year, we're going, is Fangio really, as advertised? But they have really grown into a very good defense. And you're right, all those guys you mentioned have been key parts of it. When you're talking about a rookie on a dynamic wide receiver who makes plays for that team every week, and they were afraid to even throw the football to him. They couldn't even target the guy because he obviously wasn't getting separation, wasn't open, wasn't running patterns that they normally run. And so you're right. To me, it's been the defense. We can look at the offense. They're obvious. They're dynamic players. Saquon Barkley is playing out of his mind and has given them such a lift. But it's the defense that I did not expect to come together like it has. So you got to give credit to the personnel that they selected. You got to give credit to Fangio. Defense is where I look at with this team right now. So that was it last night. So let's look at the key moment of the game. I mean, the Commanders and their head coach helped the Eagles a little bit. It's midway through the fourth quarter. The Commanders are trailing, and they had a 2nd and 1, if you remember. Forget about what they did on fourth down. They had a 2nd and 1 on the 25. Carter and Dean stuffed Brian Robinson for no gain on a play that didn't look very assertive for Washington. And then the third down play with Brandon Graham and Zach Bond stopping Robinson again for a loss of 1. And somehow, with a chance to take the lead, the head coach decides to go for it on 4th and 2. It's kind of like a juggled snap, and Jaden Daniels is running to the sideline trying to get the first down, and he's chased down. Boom, and that's the end. I don't know that the commentators realized it was 4th down. Because, I think Al and Kurt Herbstreit missed the fact that it was 4th down. But that was, to me, what turned that game around. Them going for it there with a chance to take the lead, and then the Eagles come down and score, which makes it a 2-score game as they go up 19 to 10 at that point.
Did not understand Dan Quinn's thought process there at all, because Jake Elliott, at that point in the game, had already missed 2 field goals and an extra point. So it's a 12-10 game. You could kick a 44-yard field goal to take the lead to make it 13-12, which really would have been like a touchdown lead, because you couldn't trust that Jake Elliott was going to be able to come down and make a field goal last night. So why not take the lead at that point in the football game? Terrible decision by Dan Quinn, but a great job by the Eagles defense to stop them, and then an even better job by the offense to answer. They go 5 plays, 74 yards after that turnover on downs for a touchdown, and that really put the game away. But a terrible decision by Dan Quinn, not a bad decision by our head coach, Nick Sirianni.
No, I don't know what Quinn was thinking there. Like you could sometimes maybe the analytical chart said the success rate on that play, but it's time and score, and at that point you want the lead. Not only you want the lead, but if they score, you can score to go ahead in the game. If you don't make it, they come down to score a touchdown. You get it's a 2-score game. Like, I don't understand how some of these thought processes go, but it benefited the Eagles certainly.
It did. It benefited the Eagles. But as we're talking about the coaches, and I'm not going to praise Sirianni yet, I want to talk about Kellen Moore for a second, because the running game wasn't necessarily working early. It wasn't as effective as I thought it was going to be. You were going up against the Commanders' rushing defense that was in the bottom of the NFL. I thought the Eagles would have their way the entire game. They didn't, but you have to give Kellen Moore and Nick Sirianni credit. They stuck with the run. They kept feeding it. And you just knew, we've seen it now, 10 games. You just keep giving the rock to Saquon. He's going to break one. The offensive line's too good. You give him a lane, and Nate certainly did in that game a couple of times. He ends up finishing with 146 yards on the ground. And how about Kenny G getting involved? Kenny Gainwell with a couple nice carries.
Yeah, I didn't understand what they were trying to do in the first half. To me, not targeting A.J. Brown a lot in that first half. They were targeting Dotson a couple times. I didn't get that, why Smith and A.J. Brown weren't involved. It was a sluggish first half. I didn't really know what they were doing. But you're right. In the end, and he's such a closer, Saquon Barkley, he gets stronger as the game goes along, and they decided to put him in play, and it paid off. So let's look at the only wrinkle. Well, actually, there's 2 wrinkles. The one disastrous trick play that they tried for foolish reasons that didn't work and really kind of knocked them backwards. But the kicker. Now, kickers he has been a very steady kicker. But kickers, in a lot of ways, are like relief pitchers who have been successful, and all of a sudden they fall off the horse. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen to Elliott. Maybe it was just a bad night. But kickers go sour, and I just hope that this is not the case with this guy. You saw last night, it's like when I always relate it to golf, when you have the duck hook, and he had the duck hook last night. And so, so he's out of sync with that. He's not hitting the ball right. His leg position is not in the right place. He doesn't have the good C swing like a golf swing should have, right? So I'm going to look at it like that's an aberration instead of because she's on social media. So, oh my God, you got to cut him. No, you don't cut him. He's been a very successful kicker for them. And people are going, wow, that's Sirianni. You got to blame Sirianni for that because they put cobwebs on the kid. You know, and that's what I was reading on social media last night. So we'll talk about what you saw last night. I saw a team that was way better than the other team. And in a matchup on a Thursday night, coming off a Sunday game, the better team prevailed last night. The Commanders are not ready for prime time. I have now dismissed them from the picture. The Eagles have this division locked up, and now it's just a matter of how high they can rise in the seeding. So as we go into the break, Ray Dunn not here today. Tom Alford is filling in. The great Tom Alford.
The married Tom Alford.
That's right.
What's
Recently
going on,
married
boys?
Tom Alford with us today. Tom, good to have you with us.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
And we'll kick this around all day. 610-632-0975 is how you get into the Mike Missanelli Show. I want to hear from you. What do you think of your squad now? Back after this.
Now is the time.